President Trump delivered his historic speech at the University of Alabama. Fox News drops the body cam footage showing that Mr. Garcia is indeed a human trafficker. And DOGE sits down for another interview sharing some shocking details.
If you want to change the world, you have to have the courage to be an outsider. In other words, you have to take certain risks and do things a little bit differently. Otherwise, if that weren't the case, everybody would be successful. It doesn't work that way. Progress never comes from those satisfied with the failures of a broken system. It comes from those who want to fix the broken system. And you'll make the bigger money, you'll make the more success by acting that way. The other way may be more secure, but if you want to go to the top, you're just never going to do it unless you break the system. Change is never easy, and the closer you get to success, the more ferociously those with a vested interest in the past will resist you. They want to resist.
All right, so first, that's President Trump speaking at the University of Alabama. I've got some highlights here I'm just going to show you as we work our way through this video. Some things that actually stood out to me, which leads me to number 2, authenticity. That's the biggest word that anybody should learn from President Trump. Whether you are making the wrong decision, the right decision, whether people like you or hate you, whether you are going to be an outsider and break the system, that word right there will be required every single time. You got to walk in your truth.
But in America, we reject that idea that anyone is born a victim. Our heroes are the ones who take charge of their own destiny, make their own luck, and determine their own fate despite the odds, despite all odds. That's what happens. They're given a little chance in many cases, very little chance of success, and they become the most successful people in the world. Whether you were born rich or poor, black or white, male or female in America, anyone can be a winner, and our whole country will be cheering you on, and I'll be at the front of the line cheering you on, especially because you come from this incredible university.
Yeah, so what the president just said there, I would say represents my life story. If you've been following me since the very beginning or you're brand new here, I had parents who were drug addicts. I ended up being adopted, single parent. When I was 17, I joined the military. I've been on my own ever since. Okay. Made a lot of mistakes. Trial and error, I would say, is, the theme of my 20s. And I was a victim from time to time. I blamed everybody but myself. But I learned a very valuable lesson that you become a man when you start making your own decisions and owning them, whether they are right or wrong. And I would say that's when my life really changed. I live a great life now. Amazing wife, beautiful son. The team that helps me produce these shows for you that I love to do, amazing at what they do. Life's great. God is good. But God does not want you to be a victim. He wants you to be a hero, but you can't do that if you don't get your mind right. And so what the president is saying here is just spot on.
So to everyone here today, don't waste your youth. Go out and fight right from the beginning, from the day you leave this incredible university. Go out and fight tough, fight fair, but go out and fight. You're going to be very successful because now is the time to work harder than you have ever worked before. Push yourself further than you have ever pushed yourself before. Find your limits and then smash through everything. Go and smash through. You've watched that football team smash through. You're going to do the same thing.
So this is a great time to see if people have a brain to think for themselves. And what I mean by that is tomorrow, just watch how people on social media react to this speech. Now, part of it definitely was him speaking about politics, and they're going to say it sounded like a Trump rally, but it didn't sound out of place, by the way. And then the other part of it was motivational. So it was a great speech overall. Now, this next story is breaking news. Fox News has released the body cam footage of Mr. Garcia, the illegal alien deported to El Salvador. Well, in this video, it shows him being pulled over by law enforcement. And this is why people call him a human trafficker, because it's in the video.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good, and you?
All right.
Everything good?
You got a bunch of people in here, don't you?
It's 146. Yes. Go back to work.
Gotcha. Where are you working at?
Where?
Where?
San Luis, Missouri.
Missouri?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm from to Maryland.
Where do y'all live at?
Where I living? I live in Maryland.
Maryland?
Yeah, also here.
Whose vehicle is it?
What, excuse me?
Whose car is it?
It's to my boss.
Your boss?
My boss, yeah.
Where's he live? Where's your boss live?
My boss right now is staying in Maryland, but he lives in Texas.
Okay.
Houston, Texas.
After talking to Kilmar, the officers had no doubt he was trafficking.
You know what you got here, right?
No.
He's hauling these people for money. You got an ass hauler is what he's doing, but sometimes they commingle dope.
No, but
He,
did you see how squad at the back?
there's 8 people in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. They put an extra row of seats in there.
Yeah. So he's getting paid to haul these people, probably to Maryland, I would say, if I had my guess.
He said they all work together. That's what he's telling me. But he's the only one that knows half English.
So let me ask you this. They don't have any luggage in there, right? And if you get them out, they're going to have a tube of toothpaste, and they're going to have toothbrushes in their pockets, I guarantee it.
He's got $1,400 cash in his pocket in an envelope.
Now, as you guys already know, after this event took place or during the traffic stop, the officer was instructed by FBI to let Mr. Garcia go. Now, that's according to, officials and sources and things like that. I'd love to actually have heard that conversation, but the bottom line is this: he was let go. Democrats will cry due process. Why would he be pulled over? Why would he be detained? Why would he have been arrested? There's multiple reasons why in that traffic stop didn't even have a license, but they still let him go. But furthermore, even if you try to defend what this gentleman was doing here, there are people who are doing this, but there's children in that vehicle. And they're not hauling them for good reasons to give them a good life, if you know what I mean. And this is why Democrats have tried to back away from Mr. Garcia at this point. They don't want to have nothing to do with him technically. That's why it's gotten a little quiet here. And so reporters are continuing to press the issue with Democrats. And let me just say they're not handling it well. So let me show you an example. Here's Congresswoman Omar being approached by a journalist where he was asking her, are they still planning to go down to El Salvador? Watch her response.
Congresswoman Omar, I'm Miles Morrell with the Daily Caller News Foundation. Do you think more of your Democratic colleagues should be traveling to El Salvador to advocate on behalf of Abrego Garcia?
I think you should fuck off. Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, what, Congresswoman?
Fuck off.
Who should?
You.
Why me?
We're not taking any questions right now, but here you go.
Yeah, thanks.
And the Congresswoman took to social media to double down on her message. She said this: I said what I said. You and all your miserable trolls can F off. All right, well, tell us how you really feel. But this is the consequence, ladies and gentlemen. Democrats put their time, money, and energy into Mr. Garcia, only to find out that he's not who they said he was. And now when people are following up and asking them, hey, are you guys going to still be fighting for him? Are you guys going to continue to go down there? They have nothing to say. And by the way, the Oversight Committee has already nixed taxpayer money funding their trips down there. And so Jasmine Crockett had something to say about that today in this entire case. Take a look.
Now that we know that they are doing things such as, snatching people off the streets and throwing them down in what I would consider to be concentration camps or prisons. And these are people that haven't been convicted of anything. And it's wrong. Listen, we have oversight over them. If we are in a contract with El Salvador, then it is us that have to decide as to whether or not they are violating human rights. And so we have to be given an opportunity to inspect. So even if James Comer says, no, Democrats, you can't go down there, well, we are elected members of the Oversight Committee. So we should be requiring that they turn over reports to us.
That is just more hypocrisy from Democrats, of course. It's political theater. And let me explain something to you really quick. This is why I don't buy anything that she's saying. They don't even have oversight on the corruption inside Congress. That's number one. They don't even have oversight over the money that's gone down the drain, which is why we're in $36 trillion in debt. So what makes you think they're going to have oversight on illegal aliens being sent to prison? Stop it. And now we move to the next story. J.D. Vance sat down with Fox News' Brett Baier, and he was asked about Mike Waltz and his promotion. Now, some of you guys are like, why did you say that Trump fired him? Because that's what happened, folks, and I'll explain my reasoning here shortly. But let's first hear from the vice president.
Why was Mike Waltz let go?
So he wasn't let go. He is being made ambassador to the United Nations, which of course is a Senate-confirmed position. I think you can make a good argument that it's a promotion. But we brought Mike on to do some serious reforms of the National Security Council. He has done that. I like Mike. I think he's a great guy. He's got the trust of both me and the president. But we also thought that he'd make a better UN ambassador as we get beyond this stage of the reforms that we've made to the National Security Council. You saw the president announce that Marco Rubio is going to step in as interim leader of the National Security Council. So I think the media wants to frame this as a firing. Donald Trump has fired a lot of people. He doesn't give them Senate-confirmed appointments afterwards. What he thinks is that Mike Waltz is going to better serve the administration, most importantly, the American people in that role, and I happen to agree with him.
Okay, so allow me to explain myself. Mike Waltz and his deputy, Alex Wong, they were fired. They made two classical mistakes. One, the Signalgate situation, which we all know about, and two, Mike Waltz went onto national TV and lied about knowing Jeff Goldberg, okay? That is the reality. Now, because Mike Waltz is best friends with President Trump, you're not just going to fire him and leave him out to dry. You'll fire him and then give him a promotion somewhere. Give him a better opportunity. You're going to take care of him. And if I was the president and I was cool with Mike Waltz in this way, this is exactly what I'd do. And the vice president also during this interview gave his thoughts about these rogue judges, as we would call them, who are continuing to issue injunctions against the president in an effort to stop him from deporting illegal aliens. Take a listen.
Federal judge bans the use of Alien Enemies Act to deport illegal immigrants. What's your reaction to that? There are a lot of lawsuits, a lot of judges weighing in. This one seems like it's pretty significant.
So 3 quick reactions. First of all, the judge doesn't make that determination whether the Alien Enemies Act can be deployed. I think the President of the United States is the one who determines whether this country is being invaded, and under the Biden administration it was. And number 2, of course, district court judges can make their rulings. We're aggressively appealing this stuff. We do think that the higher appeals courts, and in particular the Supreme Court, is going to recognize immigration enforcement is a core function of the President of the United States. If you tell the President he's not allowed to deport illegal criminals, then you're telling the President he's not allowed to be the President. We reject that. We think the Supreme Court's going to reject that. But the final point here, Brett, is we knew this was going to happen. We knew that there are very well-funded, very passionate, far-left interest groups who love, I don't know why they love it, but they love having violent criminals. They love having 20 million illegal aliens in the United States of America. We don't love that. We were elected to change it. We didn't think it was going to be easy. The president in particular, he said they're going to try to stop us at every single step of the way from deporting the millions of illegal immigrants that Joe Biden let in. But he's doing his job. I'm doing my job, and I think that we're going to get there.
Now that I agree with the vice president. Phenomenal answer. And that's all they can do. We live in a republic, people. Democrats and liberals and far left groups, they have a right to challenge what the president is doing. I actually don't have a problem with that. I just don't think we should have judges obviously helping illegal aliens evade ICE arrest or harboring them in their home in New Mexico, right? Like, that's going way too far. Or judges who are allowed to issue a nationwide injunction, which is pretty much handicapping the executive branch from exercising its authority. So those are things I definitely disagree with. Now, let's go to some good news as well. DOGE sat down for an interview with Jesse Waters tonight and again dropped another bombshell. Take a listen.
So actually, a lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts, there was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything. Yeah. There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required, so people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, etc. And so the one change that DOGE made with the Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so, yes, nobody drew down any money anymore.
Now, let's put the Elon derangement syndrome aside and just listen to the merits of what he just said. There's a budget in the Department of Education. People for many, many years, probably decades on end, were allowed to draw from this budget and were not required to provide a receipt on why they were taking money from this budget. I'm just simplifying it here. Now, I want you to ask yourself, if that was happening with your own checking account and your family had access to it, wouldn't you lose your mind? That they would even provide a receipt? And this isn't like, hey, I'm using a debit card where digitally it will say where I actually swiped the card at. So the fact that they're now requiring the receipts to be uploaded has already reduced the amount of people trying to draw from the budget.
We checked, is the Small Business Administration giving loans to dead people over the age of 120? The answer was yes, and it was around $330 million in total. So
people with a birthday that could not possibly be real.
Yeah.
Meaning they're over 100, they're 115 years old or older. The oldest living American is 114. So it's safe to say if anybody is in the system as 115 years or older, that is fake.
So just by sharing a database and looking at Social Security numbers that showed that at the time of the loan, they had listed as over 115 years old, or actually under 11. We didn't even check for under 18.
Babies and dead
under 11 years old. That's pretty clear.
Babies
right?
and dead people who are getting loans.
That was $660 million.
And also people with birth dates in the future.
What does that mean?
Well, in one case, I mean, I think the birth date, I think in one case was like
fetuses were getting
no,
loans.
not even. No, really sort of you're talking about like your great grandchildren, like with the birth date, like I think it was like 2165. So more than a century from now was the birth date.
And by the way, this is a recurring theme from the federal government. I'm going to tell you guys right now, when I was in the military, even as organized as you may think the military can be, we had similar issues. Okay? Fraud, waste, and abuse happens in the military. So if it happens in the military, just imagine these other government agencies. People think this stuff doesn't happen. They think it's all made up. It's not. You have to understand, the federal government is a walking conflict of interest. You can't help it. It's not your money. People in charge, it's not their money. So human behavior, naturally, if someone's been working there for many, many, many years, sooner or later, they just stop asking questions. However, I do have a question for you. What's your reaction to President Trump speaking at University of Alabama? What's your reaction to the body cam footage showing Mr. Garcia getting caught human trafficking, but they let him go? He didn't even have a license, by the way, so that's questionable. And then what's your reaction to DOGE? Are you still a firm believer in the mission? Let me know your thoughts and everything in the comments section below. Now, earlier today, CNN dropped a bombshell poll on Democrats. And when I say bombshell, I really do mean it. So if you missed out on the details of that and more stories from earlier today, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.